believes in the Lord. And that's what I want us to talk about. I'm live across my social platforms at Hope FM Live this morning as we talk about faith that praises, faith that believes God, faith that believes God. The word of God in the book of Luke chapter 17 is where I'm going to read, and then I'm going to read of Matthew chapter 8. The word of God says from verse 11, that is Luke 17:11. Now, on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee, and he was going into the village. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and they called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. The word of God said, he said to them, "Go show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, he came back praising God in a loud voice. It's okay to be loud in the presence of God. It's okay to, especially when you're bringing and registering your praise, it's okay to be loud. We see this. I mean, God has just done something amazing for this man. And so he came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus's feet and he thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus asked, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? And he said, has no one else returned to give praise? See that? Has no one else returned to give praise to God except this foreigner? Then he said to him, rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well. He said to them, and this is where the faith of believing God comes in. He said, go show yourselves to the priest. And as they went, they were cleansed. This means as they were calling upon Jesus, because they called out to him in a loud voice, said, Master Jesus, have pity on us. And then Jesus gave them an instruction that only people of faith can obey. Because if you're told, now go show yourself to the priest, yet you're not yet healed physically, yet you still see the leprosy, you still see the problem and the condition on your skin. If you don't have faith, it's possible for you not to go show yourself to the priest. Because they were not healed instantly. This was not them healed instantly. This was not God saying, be healed, like some people that used to be healed immediately. Remember the blind man that had their eyes, Jesus spat on the ground and he created sort of like clay or from the soil, and then he put the clay or the soil on the man's eyes and he said, go and wash in the pool Siloam, if I'm not wrong. And so it was those kinds of situations where it's not instant, like Bartimaeus who say, oh, Jesus, have mercy on me. And he cries and Jesus heals him on the instant. It wasn't those kinds of miracles. It was the other kind, the ones that you're told, go. So you need faith to believe that I've had an interaction with Jesus. I've had an encounter with Jesus and he has said this to me. And so I'm going to begin the journey in the direction of the priest. And believe the miracle has come, even if I don't see it on the physical. This man is told, go wash your eyes in the pool. And he goes ahead to wash his eyes, believing he starts the journey to go there, believing that by the time I'm done washing my eyes, I'll be able to see. The story of Naaman, he's told by the prophet Elisha, dip yourself in the river Jordan 7 times. And he begins to dip himself, believing that by the time he's done the 7th time, he's going to be healed. These kinds of things cannot happen or cannot come to people that lack faith, because some people, need to go and endure and go through the process, have faith in the process, and God is going to show up along the way. But this cannot happen if you don't have faith that believes in God. If you don't understand whom you've believed in, if you don't know whom you have put your trust in. So he says, go show yourselves to the priests. So they need faith to believe that this which this man is speaking is true. And they began the journey. And the word of God says, as they went, they were cleansed. And then this one man comes back. The power of praise, the power of gratitude says, he comes back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at the feet of Jesus and he said, thank you. And then he asked, where are the other 9? Why have they not come back to give praise to God? And then he says to him, rise, go, your faith has made you well. You've received wholeness. If there were maybe marks that were going to be left because of the leprosy, this man did not have them because his faith now totally healed him. And so this morning, the faith that can believe in the word of God, you find this centurion, this man, a centurion that came and he was asking Jesus for help. Matthew chapter 8, he said, Lord, my servant lies at home paralyzed. Now the centurion's servant was lying home paralyzed, suffering terribly. And Jesus said, shall I come and heal him? And the centurion replied, he said, Lord, I don't deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. And he said to Jesus, for I am a man under authority with soldiers under me. And I tell this one, go, he goes. I tell this other one, go, and he comes. And I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. And Jesus was so amazed because he met someone that understood authority and ranking. He had just had an encounter with this centurion who understood what the power of God, just the word of God coming out of his mouth, what that means, what that can do. And so he's equipping himself and sort of like comparing his authority. And he understands that Jesus is much more authoritative, is much more powerful than he is. And he says, I'm a man under authority. When I say this, I say go, this one goes. Like literally my word is everything. I say come, this one comes. I say do this, this one does this. So he was just looking at Jesus and understanding that God, if you just speak, that's enough. Your word alone can do the wonders, can do the miracle. Your word alone can set my servant free, can heal my servant. So he said, no trouble. Don't come under my roof. I don't deserve to have you under my roof. But I know you can say something. I know you can speak a word, and that word will go where it's supposed to go. That word will do what it is supposed to do. And so he understood what a word of God can do and what it means. Faith that believes, I don't need you to come under my roof. I don't need to have you come to my home. I just need you to release the word to do what it's supposed to do, because a word from God must accomplish what it is meant to accomplish. And the word of God says, Jesus, first of all, was so amazed by this faith. He said, I've not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. And he said to him, just go. Jesus said to the centurion, go, let it be done just as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that moment. Faith that causes you to believe in God. Can you believe God this morning until your faith does what you wanted it to do? Go and let it be done just as you believed it would. That is what Jesus said. And his servant was healed at that moment. The faith that we have in God that pleases him. Faith that we have in God that can cause us to be told, let it be done just as you have believed it would be done. And it actually happens for you. This morning, I pray that the King of Kings is going to help us. If we are lacking in faith,